What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Matty Matt's Bavarian Builds. Today, I am doing a trans swap on an E24 that I already did a trans swap. So, I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes and a little update of the car I'm working on, and you check it out. It's pretty cool.
You're like, damn, homie, you know, like, that's what's up.
Let me show you what we have. This is at SEMA. You might have seen this before. It's Marv's, M5 Marv's E24 Shark. It's got a really nice body kit on it.
Baby got ballet feet with the open boot.
Airlift, roll cage, status seats, the whole gambit. It's got a lot, and it's really, really pretty. So you may ask, why is it doing, what's it doing at Matty Matt's house? Why is the SEMA car here? Well, it was an automatic M30 B34. And I did a ta-da! M30 B35.
Pow!
So put new hoses in, rewrapped all the wiring. Got everything all new, polished up, cleaned up, everything as good as I can. There you go, it's 3.5. Got it running, but there's an issue with getting it between reverse and first. You can't really feel it, which means the springs inside the trans are shot. Maybe I'll do a video on how to replace those. I still have to learn how to do it. But until then, I have this. And along with this, I'm gonna teach you guys a skill that I was taught when I was young. I was like 13. It's called turd polishing. Essentially, you take something really ugly and make it beautiful. This was a dirty ass trans. And now, I'll show you guys. It's so pretty and clean. I'll teach you how to turd polish. So, stay tuned. You're gonna get a little bit of turd polishing and a little bit of how to get to the back bolts that everybody has a problem with. These bolts. If you have to do a clutch replacement or you're doing an engine swap, the bolts on the back of the trans back in here are really hard to get to. Can't fit much back there. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. So first what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna take the radiator out. So disconnect the hoses. I already did the top one and the bottom one, or the top one and the little one over there. I have this bottom one to get down here. Then there's two 10mm bolts, one here, one on the other side. Disconnect the sensor here, pull that bad boy out. All right, should be ready to come up. Yeah, old cool. Good thing we still got a flush. That's why you do a coolant flush, especially when you do engine swaps. I replaced the thermostat, water pump, all the accessories and everything, but still, there's still just crap in there. Let's get it out. So now that we have that off, let's get the fan off. Get your fan clutch tool. Get that bad boy in.
Bad boy, that's what's up.
Spin it. And then don't forget to catch it. Get there. There we go. Fan's off. Now let's disconnect the drive shaft. All right, so to disconnect the drive shaft, we don't have to drop the exhaust, luckily. So that's nice. We may, oh. I'm really hoping we don't. Anyway, so I'm gonna undo the guava bolts, undo that, put a support underneath this, and then undo the engine mounts on the bottom and the top. So then the end goal is, so when we drop this trans mount, that the whole trans will lean and we can get access to the top bolts that everybody hates. So let's keep going. All right, so now I have these sensors off. You definitely have the master off, right there, new master. I have the two sensors off. I used blue tape, see right there, to put on the bottom sensor of the trans right there, so that way you know that blue is bottom and that's where it goes. If you put it at the top, it won't start. If you cross the plugs at the top, it won't start. So if your car doesn't start, it's either you switch the plugs or you switch the positions. So from there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loosen up the engine mount bolts on the bottom side, then the top side, and then get a jack underneath this trans after I loosen up, start to crack all the bolts and loosen them, except for the top ones. The ones that everybody wants to know how to get to. How do you get to those? How do you get to those up there? I'm gonna tell you. We'll do it together. So So once you loosen the guibo bolts or take them out, you should have enough room to slide the drive shaft back and squeeze it through. So I did that, but now let's get to the engine mounts. So now let's loosen up the engine bolts, the engine mounts on the tops and the bottoms. And go from there. We're just loosening them to the bottom couple threads. This one. So the only reason we're loosening the engine mounts and we pulled the radiator and the fan out is so that way we can get, actually, I'm gonna try and do it without doing the top mounts. But so that way we can tilt the transmission down to get to the back bolts that are up in there that everybody hates. So after that, let's take off the inspection plate. Yeah, actually, I don't think I have to. I don't think I need to. We'll figure it out. I'll keep you posted. So on this GetDrag 260, what you're gonna have to do to get them off is you're gonna need reverse Torx, an E12 and an E10. And yeah, so we're gonna break the bottom bolts, get them off with my little getter offer, and then we'll go from there. You don't want to try and break the bottom bolts when the transmission's leaning and stuff, so we're just gonna get to what we can and go from there. So first, what you're gonna want to do is break it. The bottom one's E12. Make sure your thing says off and not on. Don't be an idiot, Maddie. Break it loose. The one above the slave cylinder is an E12 as well. So just go around and try and break as many of the bolts. The one that's up in here is an E10. So let's switch that, break that bad boy.
Bad boy, that's what's up.
So that's an E10. Is there another one? I think the rest are pretty accessible when we start to, when we drop the trans. So I think we're ready for that. I think I have to do too much more. Let's find out and see what happens. So let's get the transmission supported.
2 hours later.
You want to get it in the middle of the transmission, just so when you disconnect it, you have a little bit of room, and the trans brace will kind of save you that wiggle room. There we go. All right, we support it. Where's it? All right. So now what we're gonna do? Loosen these. Now that the trans is supported, here's delivery. Food. What's up, brother? Man, you gotta feel a cross between Santa Claus and like dropping off rice in a third world country. Is that what you gotta feel like, right? Everybody's happy to see you. It's not like you're dropping off bills. It's our UPS guy. Super awesome. Alright. Now we can lower the trans and try and get to the rest of the bolts. Let's do it. Right. Fuck. I don't have to do that. I just have to drive over the Alright guys, welcome to day 2 on this trans removal and swap. So let me show you what I did before the battery cut off and died. So here we go. I pulled the heat shielding off with the 10mm flat screws. Wow. Disconnected the drive shaft at the center support bearing, And now what I'm gonna do is, because the exhaust won't tilt the engine as low as I need it, I gotta take it off right there. So I'm gonna unbolt the exhaust from the resonator cat area back, and that Billy Boat exhaust, I'm gonna take that off, and then we should have some more leverage to get those top bolts. We can get this goddamn transmission off. There we go, we got the cap back off. Now we should be able to lower the engine a little more, so we'll get to that. All right, so now that we have the trans brace off, drive shaft disconnected, the cap back off, you notice the engine's sitting pretty low. Now we have access to all those trans bolts up there. Right here. So now we have access to all of the bolts on top of the transmission. There we go. Let's get this thing started.
Let's get it started. Ah!
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get about 2 feet of breaker bar. For the starter bolt. Okay, we have that one. Now we get the top one. Alright, do that one. To the other side. Like I said, as promised last time. That's it. Let's see if we can get her out. Alright. All the bolts are out as promised. Using those stupid ass top ones that everybody hates. Me too. I feel you. So now let's wrangle this bad boy out. That should be it. There we go. Got it out. Now I'm stuck. Nice alert.
Can't get up!
Hang on, I'll transfer your call.
Look, is it getting caught up? He says to me. Oh, piece of shit. Here we go. There you have it. Pull trans out. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Step one of either when you remove your transmission or you're gonna before you reinstall it, you want to clean it. This already sprayed down once before. Let's get it again. Whatever this stuff is. Oh. Let it sit and let it do its thing. Degrease it. Let it marinate. Go roll yourself up one or crack a beer while you're waiting. And then get your pressure washer and hit it up. And with the nasty stuff, you want to get that brush in there. Get it and scrub it. And to get it to Maddie spec, we're gonna do a couple more scrubs, get all the black off, clean it, and then clear coat it with an engine clear coat, just to make all the grease and stuff fall off easier. Bam.
Pow.
Day 2, back at it with the turd polish. Got most of the stuff. There's a lot of little stuff in the nooks and crannies. And we're gonna get them out using a brass brush, screwdriver to get the hard stuff, a soft brush, and again, our trusty cleaner. So, here you go. This is how you turd polish.
I can't stay.
Now that she's all degreased and scrubbed down, let's give her a blow dry. Watch out over there. What Now that the transmission is cleaned and dried, we're gonna put some clear coat on it. And I'm using engine clear coat. So here we go. Yay. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, baby.
For all of us here at News Center 4, I'm Ron Burgundy. You stay classy, San Diego.
Now you can see the difference between me. I pressure washed this transmission that went in, that I just pulled out. I pressure washed it and cleaned it. I didn't go through the full detail, but if you look at this, there's such a difference. It's shiny, the dirt's not gonna stick. It's gonna roll right off. Yeah. See? Roll right off. There you go. That's how you dirt polish 101. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prep the new trans with all the old trans stuff. All that stuff there. Trans brace, we'll get that on. And then slap her back in. So if you guys wanted to see the extension bar and the size that I used to get the bolts at the top, it's about to out here. So it's easily 2 feet, 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet will do you good. And get a wobble at the end. But yeah, let's switch everything over. Now let's finish bolting this bad boy.
Bad boy, that's what's up.
Yep. All right, that's done. Let's get the rest of the stuff on it. So now that we have that little pivot joint replaced, we have this all in, it's mounted, we have the steering linkage all back up. This is the action of getting it into reverse. The springs in the transmission over in here, I guess are failing. And so maybe I'll do a video about that. But so yeah, this feels really crispy. Everything feels really tight. There's not a lot of slop at all once this is all be mounted up. So here we go. Let's get her back in. All right, let's get her back in. There we go. All right, let's get this transmission back. Oh, good times. Let's get on the creeper, Holmes.
You're like, damn, homie, you know, like, that's what's up.
Scrape off all that nice paint I put on. All right. So now that we have that, make sure the transmission's in neutral. Should really get a jack for this. Really should. I'm gonna get a jack. My jack is a piece. There we go. Oh man, did I have that there the whole time? Crud. There we go. We're in all the pins now. Cool. Groovy train. Woo! Get her done. There we go. 1 and 2. There we go. We got those on. Now we can get rid of the jack. All right, remember the sensors on the flywheel. We put blue for the bottom, no tape for the top. Let's get these in so we don't forget about those. One and 2. All right. Since the transmission's so low, now would be a good time to get the slave in. It's a 13 to put these back on. I'm sure you already know. Took them off. You just want to tighten these pretty evenly. All right. Now the master's on, the slave's on, the sensors are on. We just need to put the rest of the bolts in through the top, put the inspection plate on, bolt the trans up, get the drive shaft in, and get everything going. So let's keep moving. All right, if you're finding yourself having to use a very long extension such as this one, like 2.5 feet, it's a pain in the ass to keep the bolts on. So what I recommend using is dielectric grease. Diode electric grease for wires and shit. You put it on, it's a little bit tacky enough to where your bolt will stay in pretty well. It will eventually. There, to where your bolt will stay in. And just like that with the long extension bar, we got the bolt in on the top. That's the one on the passenger side. We still need to get the driver's side. Same principle. Dielectric grease right here on the edge of the socket. And then stick the bolt on and then shoot it in. But this thing is, it's huge. That's what she said. The bigger bolts are E12. Let's get this bad boy out. Put a little dielectric grease in there. Turn it on. So there you go, do that. Get the bolt. Work it around a little bit. So that way it gets a little tacky. There we go. And see, there you go. You can wiggle it pretty good and you know, it'll stay. All right, so now that we have that in, let's get the bolt in with the diode electric grease. Let's see if I can even see it from where I'm at. You guys get a better view for sure. Come on, stand. There we go. Let's crank that bad boy down. There we go. The other starter bolt on, which is also a E12. There we go. Now let's get a ratchet on that bad boy. Send her home. There you have it. All the top bolts are in. They're tightened. The starter's tightened. The clutch slave is in. We just need to put the bottom bolts, the inspection plate, and bolt up the trans brace to the car, and it's just about done other than the drive shaft and exhaust and putting everything back. But stay tuned, we'll keep going. Don't stay tuned, you know what I'm saying. Keep watching. Yeah, keep watching. We're gonna keep moving forward. Cool. Now that we have the trans bolted on the top, we have the two bottom bolts, the big ones. We just have like one more or two more to put in on the bottom. The inspection plate. I also hooked up the reverse light wires to the side of the trans. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a jack. We're gonna jack the trans up, get the trans brace bolted up, and bolt the engine mounts back up, and keep on moving. And then we'll get on the exhaust and drive shaft and stuff. So final day. I had to run out and get a new fan clutch for it because the fan clutch was running, it was black, it was weak. So I got a new one. Woo! Up there, you can see the precautions I took down here for going out there during this plague of COVID. So anyway, let me show you what's been done. Everything's been done, really. Here you go. Radiator's in, new fan clutch. Woo. System's pretty bled, pretty cleaned up. I did some modification on the body kit so that way this bad boy will turn all the way. It was kind of getting pinched up, so made that fit. The reason why I angled it is because you have to bleed the system, obviously, when I put the radiator back in. And when you tilt it up, the highest point becomes up here, right here. So it'll end up bleeding through the whole system, out through there, and this little screw here. So there's Marv's, M5 Marv's E24 SEMA car. So beautiful. Stoked I get to test drive it in a minute. Functional door, I like that on that body kit. That's quality. So yeah, we're just gonna get her lowered and get it going from there. But it is a pain in the ass to put gas in. It's a pain in the dick. So yeah, here's the engine from this side. I'm gonna do another round of detailing and it'll be picked up tomorrow. Have the interior finished off by Elias. This is where we're at. He's gonna replace the center console. It was a little dinged up, so we have a nice one. And then the door panels and the rear cards are getting swapped out, I believe. So my job mechanically is pretty done. Whew. So I could put the Matty Matt stamp of approval on. You could see the job I did with the transmission. Everything in the engine bay is pretty clean. I still need to wipe it up, but you could see, I mean, everywhere I've done my best to polish. Polish. Set yourself apart from the others. Do it differently. So, oh yeah, let's go underneath. Time to get on the creeper, Holmes.
I was gonna be like, damn, homie, you know, like, that's what's up.
All right. Here we go. Going back. Clean, no leaks. Gotta clean that stuff up. I'll steam that up, but look how shiny that transmission is. Just looks so good. Here, how about that? That's better. See everything? Painted the drive shaft, got that all cleaned up. New mounts, new everything. So, it's got that Billy Boat exhaust. So, from there, I'm gonna do some test driving. You guys will get to see. Wouldn't be a BMW if it didn't do that, right? Just a little leak. It's from the top hose. None of my cars leak. This one does. They don't leak anymore. Try to fix that stuff. It's pretty important. So here we go. First test drive since the engine swap and trans swap and the other trans swap and the suspension and the brakes. Yeah. Let's go.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. If you stayed to the end, if you've watched any of the series, I'm grateful, man. Thank you so much. Through this, we're gonna get through all this together. And yeah, we can say goodbye to this bad boy. She's leaving. So yeah, peace, y'all. Have a great day. Love one another. Be safe. Wash your hands. Take care. Matty Matt out.